The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster Mike, good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Manx Radio. We're open line through till 1. It's rest day in TT at the moment, so lots of tired arms and legs and biceps and triceps getting back together for tomorrow. So what do you think of this new look TT with I can't believe it's not Mad Sunday? And just a quick word about the matrix signs at the moment. They're showing fog on the mountain road. Of course, the mountain road is one way, but the Solby to the mountain matrix sign showing fog, and also Big Arrow to the mountain as well. So do take care if you're heading towards the mountain road. It being one way and it being foggy, that is. Wilf's first with us today. Hi, Wilf.
Hi, two things today, but the first thing is just a bit of good news. You remember me showing you all that rubbish that was on our South Shore?
Yeah.
Right, well, it hasn't been shifted by any authority, but a friend of mine, Michael Starkey, it was his birthday a couple of days ago. I want to wish him a happy birthday, fair enough. I haven't seen him for a few days. But prior to that, a week prior to his birthday, and right through his birthday, he cleared all that on his own. He raked it all up into a heap, and the commissioners have shifted some of it. I don't know they've shifted the rest of it now because I haven't been down.
On his own?
But, on his own. He took a rake down, a wheelbarrow, a shovel, and he cleared it, pulled it all into heaps on his own. So he's got to be congratulated for that. I haven't got any of this Facebook stuff or whatever, but I've been told that there's on these Facebook things, there's a lot of congratulations for them doing that. So the people of Ramsey should be, you know, wishing him a happy birthday, which some of them have done, and congratulating him on what he's done because he's worked really hard. He's one of these swimmers that go down here swimming all winter and all that.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I couldn't dip my feet in it. I'd get a heart attack or something, I think, by my age. But anyway, the other thing was, people complaining about the TT. The Isle of Man is the TT, and that's all there is to it. Now, anybody coming here should be given a form at the terminal, sea terminal, or the airport, and saying, have a look at that, read that. If you're coming on holiday and going back, fair enough. If you're coming here and going to look for a house, you are never, and you buy a house, you are never ever to complain about the TT races, especially if you choose to buy a house on the inside of the course, because a estate agent is not going to tell you what's wrong if you buy an in. You know, you're not going to be able to get out of your house and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell you that, but you've got to look at where you're buying and never ever complain about the TT because you're not welcome. It's as simple as that.
Do you think surely anybody who buys a house on the Isle of Man, surely they know, it's been here since 1907, surely they'd pick that up?
Well, they don't, do they? Or if they don't, I don't know. There's a lot of people complain about the TT because some of our own people complain about it, but they choose to go away on a holiday. No, that's fair enough. But people should, if they're going to complain about the TT, they should never buy a house on the inside of the course and then complain that they can't get out of the house. It's just totally wrong. I mean, if you're coming to the Isle of Man to live, the Isle of Man is the TT, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
This is what the Isle of Man is.
Yeah, that's the thing is, on Mannin Line, we don't tend to get many people. There are criticisms of how the TTs run, but nobody ever denies the TT's standing or existence really on Mannin Line, Wilf.
I've heard of one or two on Mannin Line, but I've heard a lot on the public side of it, you see.
Oh, right.
Because I'm in amongst the people, and they do complain, you see, and I tell them off because of that. Well, you're not welcome. That's all there is to it.
All right. Okay. Is the bathing raft back yet?
Not that I haven't been down for a few days because I've been watching the races and all that.
Right.
You see.
Okay.
So I haven't been down, but we have been promised by the commissioners, and that was over a month ago, that we're going to have one of these new rubber ones, and that was promised over a month ago, that it was going to take a week to a fortnight, and it'll be here. But I've heard nothing or seen nothing yet. So whether it's here or not yet, I don't know. I'll have to check that up.
All right.
I don't do much phoning to the town hall. I've got to go in there to see them because I've only got a mobile. It costs too much to phone them.
All right. All right. Well,
I'm too tight, you see, right?
Right. Thanks for calling today. Cheers now.
Okay.
All right, 13 minutes past 12. Brilliant day's racing yesterday, says Colin. Just a few downsides. Spectators were unable to get a signal to listen to the TT broadcast. The Wi-Fi was down. And some motorcyclists were ignoring the one-way system at the bottom of Nobles Park, leading to potentially dangerous situations. And also a large van was parked right across a junction in the same area at the bottom of Nobles Park, making it dangerous to go round it and to exit the junction. So can I appeal to everybody, drive safely and, more importantly, park safely, says Colin. Thank you, Colin. All the very best to you. I paid into the Villa Garden to watch the Saturday race, and 5 minutes before the end of the race, some bloke got up on stage banging away on a guitar, drowned out the race commentary. Rude and disrespectful, says Jack. TT and all race fans sitting here watching the race. Lots of TT fans just got up and walked out. Disgraceful, says Jack. Were you in the Villa Garden yesterday? Did you have a good time? Looked like a very good atmosphere. Why have they done away with the commentary boxes around the TT course? That was a few years ago, wasn't it, when Ramsey Hairpin and Glenn Helen went? You'd have to direct that really towards the motorsport division of the Department for Enterprise, because the TT is owned by the Department for Enterprise. I think it was they who decided that the commentary points were going to change. Thanks also to, I was out for a walk over the weekend, says Paul. I couldn't believe my eyes. In Governor's Hill, there's a large green area with football posts, obviously for children to play football safely. However, for some unknown reason, Douglas Corporation have decided that this particular green area should be left with uncut grass for a summer garden, whatever that means. So children were playing football on the road because the grass was too long. Who on earth thought this particular area was a good area to make a summer garden? Large housing area, estate with lots of children, young people who are currently off school. Busiest time with traffic and bikes on the roads, and the children aren't able to play on the grass. Totally unbelievable. Meanwhile, the paths we used to walk on safely because the roads are closed, e.g. the path by Governor's House, completely overgrown. Overgrown hedges, long grass. So why am I paying Douglas rates when basic grass cutting can't even be achieved, says Paula. Thank you, Paula, for that. Paula on 992. Where do you stand on this wilding thing? Letting things wild or getting it cut, do you think? How you doing, Julian?
All right, how are you doing?
It's one of those days.
Oh, I know. I was watching the races, actually, from Gorsley, and the sausage rolls were coming straight out of there. They've got two full-size gas ovens and a proper sort of heating up thing. They're pushing out the cakes and everything. It was amazing.
At what time were you there till, Julian?
Till the end of the RST Superbike. So, but it was. I was watching the video of Michael Dunlop. Somebody got a shot of him. Well, a video of him fixing his visor.
I saw that. Well, that was all over social media, wasn't it? Yeah, he would. That was a very quick change, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know. I tell you what, though, I was talking to a few German bikers yesterday as well. And they were saying one of the problems with the date changes is they can't get back to work for a Monday because of the move of the senior race day, because it's physically impossible to go off the island, across England on a boat, and then across back home, get prepared, and then get to work for Monday. So there's another bit of a problem, I think, with moving the dates around.
Yeah, I don't know. How do you stand on this senior race day being a Saturday?
Well, it seems to be causing, and not forgetting. I mean, just the contingent of people who like to have Sunday in church. It's trodden on a few toes here. And I'm not a religious person particularly, but I can see their point of view with it as well. So there's, and of course we've lost the spirit of Mad Sunday, whether or not you look at it from a safety point of view. I mean, we've got all these high-tech signs now, haven't we? So you'd think that they could, if it's so wonderful, all these new electronic signs that can be dotted all over the island, you'd think that they could manage it better, but I don't know. But anyway, it's still going, so at least it's still going. I'd just like to talk about a rally. Cairns News in Australia reported yesterday on a recent protest rally in Japan, which was attended by tens of thousands, unusually for Japan, who are usually pretty quiet. And this was against the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum that were mentioned directly. But during an opening speech, high-profile member of the Japanese parliament, Kazuhiro Haraguchi, delivered a powerful and emotional apology for the huge numbers of deaths now occurring as a result of the deadly mRNA rollout. He said, and I quote, "I apologize to all of you. So many have died and they shouldn't have." Another key point in Haraguchi's speech was his criticism of the ban on ivermectin, which he believes could have played a significant role in combating the pandemic. He questioned the motives behind banning ivermectin, suggesting that economic interests were prioritized over public health. He said, "Why? Because ivermectin is cheap. They don't want it because it will interfere with the sales of the vaccine, not forgetting that to obtain an emergency use authorization, there cannot be an alternative treatment." Haraguchi then spoke of his own health struggles. After receiving an mRNA vaccination, he developed a rapidly progressing form of cancer, commonly referred to these days as turbo cancer. He also pointed out that he's not the only member of Japanese national legislature to suffer vaccine injury, with several of his colleagues, and I'll quote him, "falling to pieces, but they don't speak up."
When was the rally, Julian?
End of May. So just a few days ago.
Oh, right. Because I seem to remember there was one in April as well. I'm sure there was one in April. There was a big rally in Japan. I saw it reported in the international news that there was a protest against the World Health Organization then in April.
Yeah, it looks to me like they're getting a bit up in arms about this, and of course, they have decided to delay it, as Ewan said the other day. But, people are starting to get a bit worried about this. And there are several states, including Louisiana in America, that have actually put it into their law that they are not going to obey a single diktat from the World Health Organization. So I think there seems to be a bit of an awakening here that, if the international health regulations become sort of like a remote control on anyone, who knows what new vaccines, they're talking about this disease X from a bird flu or something, and they're talking about how there are all these production facilities quietly ramping up billions of doses of new mRNA jabs. So I think people are starting to question, are we going to be told about our health?
Yeah. How threatened do you personally feel by, what you're describing as a globalist agenda? Do you feel threatened personally?
Yeah, we've seen it right up front with all the lockdowns and the masking in 2020 into 2021. You might have noticed, actually, that after the first lockdown, where there were none of those plastic screens up in shops and no masking, it actually got worse, if you remember. So, the measures that were rolled out, I think, were more to do with perhaps from a psychological point of view more than actual practicality.
Yeah. The thing is that, obviously during COVID, nobody knew what the heck was going on. Governments didn't know what was going on, so everybody was kind of feeling their way along. So, I mean, there seems to be a I mean, I don't want to paraphrase it, but you seem to suggest that having got a feel of what they could do during COVID, that there may be organisations that want to exercise that power in the future.
Yeah, I mean, very early on, I did notice, for example, everybody was sort of trying to dumb down the idea that hydroxychloroquine was a potential cure, although actually it had officially been used as a cure for SARS-CoV-1, which is 90% the same as SARS-CoV-2. But it was interesting that Le Monde newspaper was questioning why it was that hydroxychloroquine was quietly removed from all the shelves in France in the January of 2020, when they were widely used in their French colonial. Some of the areas that they have are quite high with malaria, and they use it sort of like you go and buy Strepsils in ShopRite. It's kind of like that with hydroxychloroquine, and people all of a sudden weren't able to get it several months before all this sort of started to roll out.
Well, we watch, we wait, and we see. But I've got an even more pertinent question for you, Julian.
Yeah.
What were the midges like at Gorsley yesterday?
The midges?
Well, the Gorsley used to be famous for midges, for insects buzzing around at twilight. So that's why I asked whether you were there, how late you were there.
Ah, right, yeah. Well, they weren't around at the time, but I tell you what, it was really warm there. There was no wind at all. It was packed. All the guys were on the wall. They were doing great trade. They've actually extended the catering there. They've got like a big tent up now. It used to be just a little lean-to. So they've got more people there, which is strange in a way, because I know St. Jude's, they've stopped doing it all the time. And I used to go around there. I used to make a beeline for there because the ladies' cakes there was fantastic. And I think Bride Church TTTs are only doing 3 days this year or something.
I think Balaf are filling in the spaces there. They're on all the time, I think, at Balaf.
Yeah. But,
all right.
No, Gorsley was really good.
All right.
Really good.
Good to hear from you. Thanks, Julian.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers.
If you want to report, by the way, on what the midge count was yesterday, later on as it got to be, apparently, I've had some reports from Skeet reports that apparently the midge count was very high yesterday. Well, here's Joy now. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Andy.
What's on your mind?
Can you tell me, on an A road in England, what is the top speed limit?
If there's no sign, I think it goes up to 70.
No, it's 60. 70 on a motorway, 60 on an A road. So why is it the Isle of Man has now become the paradise of 50?
Or what do you think it should be?
It used to be end of speed limit. Now everywhere you go, you're limited to 50. I think it's blinking disgusting. Who decided to put the 50 mile an hour speed limits all over the TT course?
They've been, I'm trying to remember when that happened. That was a couple of, maybe 3 years ago that happened, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know, but I think it's absolutely disgusting. This island is trying to kill the TT.
And why do you think they're doing it? Is it for safety reasons?
They say it is. But, if you come over to an island thinking you're capable of getting your motorbike up to like 80 or 90 miles an hour and doing that legally, that is a big buzz for a biker. I said, now you come over, you're restricted to 50 in most places except the mountain, where you get a lot of people that would not, as a normal biker, would not go on the mountain because they know the speeds the men are doing up there.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember where would people really turn it up? Sulby Strait and places like that.
No, Sulby Strait's a housing area. No.
So where would
coming up Cronkervoddy? That's all 50 mile an hour.
Yeah, but before then, when there wasn't a speed limit, where would people really, get the speed up? Cronkervoddy.
Coming out of Crosby, you've got a stretch going into the bends there. You used to be able to open it up there. Now you're stuck to 50. Even my Garmin sat-nav says I can do 60.
So you think
I
this?
think
You
it's
think this is?
absolutely disgusting, and whoever made that decision needs a foot where it hurts.
All right. Okay. Well, pass the message on, Joy.
Yeah, but nobody will listen because nobody gives a mess.
Well,
Bye.
all right. Thanks for calling today. What do you think? Do you agree with Joy? Do you think we need to reopen those speed limits so people can have a blast? The mountain, obviously, is what the mountain is, but do you think it's something that we should be able to do? Still, some messages coming in around about that green space that's now been left a while, so nobody can play football. With the TT commentary being delivered from the grandstand based on video feeds, the public don't get the commentary box atmosphere, says G. Thank you, G, on 313. Yeah, you need to speak to the motorsport division of the government. They're the ones who decided that. Let's have a look at... Put the schedule back how it was, says Sean. It worked well for everybody. Fans would get to see more and more, and the boats would most probably work for them as well. The clerk of the course puts the schedule together for the approval of the motorsport team. Let's how it works over the next week, and with the weather forecast not much room to play with, says Sean. And also, let's look at regarding the TT. There's a lack of merchandise at the grandstand. Yesterday they sold out of children's T-shirts. We went to the book company in Douglas. Our visitors were really confused as last year's official merchandise was half price, so they thought they'd been overcharged with the items bought at the grandstand. The government needs to make sure that there's enough official merchandise this year. It's poor, says 802. I also need the race schedule to be as it was. A great finish on Friday, senior race day, not stretched into Saturday. With also, we want fireworks on Friday evening, says 802. And David's with us now. Hi, David.
Hi, Randy. I just want to report something, and we'll have to ferret it out a bit from the government. I've had news that only an hour ago there that they're going to stop in September giving grant aid assistance to apprentices. So that will be plumbers, electricians, bricklayers, gardeners, all sorts of different trades that happen in the Isle of Man, which we need for succession planning when people get older and retire. So I could do with finding out really is from, say, if I could say the Employers Federation and the trade union itself, or anybody that's an employer that would come on discreetly and say, I'm going to get caught in that category, and what's the reason for it? And has there been any consultation with the general public?
Crikey. I mean, this was a big help to apprentices before, wasn't it?
Well, you look at it. You look the other. I hope it's not the captain of the Starship Enterprise, the minister, because they've done a deal to help the food industry. So, what's the difference between training an apprentice for 3 years, or maybe 4 years, say on the electrical side there? That's going to be somebody we can call in the future. I've noticed recently that people are struggling to get qualified tradesmen, people to give a quote for people. And do we want to start importing people in? The answer is no.
Well, and this is education, David. You know, it's a trade, but it's also education for the people involved.
Well, remember when Julie Edge was the minister? And the college said they couldn't train gas fitters or have them retested there to it. And that was corrected. So what's going on there now with government? They're not talking to one another. If you've started an apprenticeship and you're in your second year and suddenly your employer says to you, sorry, lad, I can't employ you because the government won't help you to employ you to get to a qualification in the future.
And do you know this is this for a stone cold fact?
I know the person that told me about an hour ago is in the industry. I don't want to name him, but he said to me, Quirky, you need to raise this. Something's going on behind our backs. Well.
And this is from September, you reckon?
September. And it's just something to do. I've got a call into the enterprise, but the trouble at the minute is everybody's on holiday while TT's on. Doesn't government still work? Oh, I don't know.
All right. All right.
You know, you leave a call on the answer phone and nobody says anything to you. They never come back.
All right.
See you, boy.
Thanks for calling today. Right, just gone 28 minutes before 1. Do you know what a Ramsar wetland is? Ramsar is land listed as wetland of international importance under the Convention of Wetlands of International Importance, especially as waterfowl habit. It was the Ramsar Convention in 1973. So, and Balaf Currachs in 2006 was made a Ramsar Wetlands Conservation Area. Crystal dropped me a note in 775, something that's been raised before. Crystal reckons that the Waterworld Bird Sanctuary has been drained in Balaf Currachs. She said it's been drained off to bone dry. Storm drains have been removed from the site and water's backing up onto other areas, causing drainage, and it's in breach of the Ramsar Convention. Waterworld should be watery, and it's in the name, and the culprits should restore it now. There'll be repercussions from Ramsar when this is reported to them. Thank you, Crystal. Well, that's Crystal's point of view. Do you know anything about this? If you walk around the Currachs, do you know about this? We walked to the Villa Gardens on Saturday. We're surprised we had to pay to get in, so we didn't go in, said Elizabeth. As for people complaining about not being able to go out when the races are on, it's ridiculous. TT is once a year for 2 weeks, best time of the year, says Elizabeth. Either go away or don't buy a house in the course. Thank you for that. They've been charging to get into the Villa Gardens for a while, though, Elizabeth. Douglas corporations have signs out saying no mow May. Either they haven't got the staff or they're just using it as an excuse so they don't have to cut back. It might look good on paper, but in reality, says 692, looks disgraceful. Big things happened on Douglas Head Road the other day. They've actually cut some of the grass that's there in what used to be a pavement. There used to be pavements on both sides of Douglas Head Road, Fortown Road. And now there's only a pavement on one side because the other's completely grown over with wild grass, although they have cut it back. So whoever that was, thank you for that. It at least looks half like a pavement. Mark said the British Isles, including the Isle of Man, is one of the most nature-depleted places on Earth. Anything we can do to help promote wildlife, we should. Thank you, Mark. If you could be a bit more specific, we'd appreciate that. Thanks also to Terry, who just said the TT is as it always has been. It's an iconic event. 1907 to date, nowhere in the world has the history of the TT, the legacy of the TT. The Isle of Man should look after it very, very carefully. And people who criticise the TT should be careful what they wish for.
Summer, a time for blue skies and sunshine. With Skipton International, you can turn up the heat even more with some amazing interest rates. Guernsey's Bank Skipton International offers a range of savings accounts, from fixed term to notice and easy access, enabling your savings to shine brightly. So what are you waiting for? Make your summer great by switching to Skipton International today.
For details of all Skipton International savings products, call 01481 730 730 or visit skiptoninternational.com. Skipton International is licensed to take deposits by the GFSC and is a participant in the Guernsey Banking Deposit Compensation Scheme. See dcs.gg.
Hey June, I wanted to tell you about the Green Living Grant. Well, new Spectrum windows and doors are so energy efficient they qualify for the Green Living Grant, with funding available for up to 50% of the cost. I saved £5,725, but the application deadline closes at the end of June.
Don't delay. Contact Spectrum Windows today on 817777. T's and C's apply.
The fabulous Fire Pit Outdoor Eating Range is brilliant for the barbecue and is available now from ShopRite. The ready for whatever the weather frozen selection, any two for £6. Or in the chillers, any two for £8. Add to that a great selection of salads, sides and snacks. We also sell charcoal and picnicware, so you can create the perfect barbecue feast all in one place. Get set for the racing at ShopRite, Onchan, Peel and Ramsey.
The extended Ramsey Garden Centre is deceptively large. You'll find a warm welcome and everything from bedding and perennials, fruit and vegetables to lighting, garden ornaments, bird baths, bird tables and indoor and outdoor pots. Come and browse at Ramsey Garden Centre.
Long-serving political figure Eddie Lowy passed away recently, and on agenda long-term friend and occasional political ally Peter Carron pays tribute to a towering Manx statesman. Mr Lowy was first elected to the House of Keys in the old Russian constituency and went on to serve in many positions in both government and Tynwald, stepping down from Legislative Council about 10 years ago. But it was his dedication to the Manx people through the Labour Party which defines him as one of the most influential politicians in living memory. That's Agenda this evening at 6 p.m. on Manx Radio with me, Phil Gaughan.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
It's 23 minutes before 1. Joy is my hero, says Jim. Absolutely spot on 917. I think some of the restrictions on parking are over the top. I was on Old School Road in Crosby yesterday, and there are traffic cones from the course for half a mile up the road. No real reason for this, as there are no restrictions across the road inside the course. And this is not the only it is not the only example of overkill, says 475. And 380 texted in to say, I completely agree with Joy. Another biking road, lovely biking roads, the A36, a 50 mile an hour limit. Why is Manx Care saying that we, the Isle of Man residents and owners, pay out for the air ambulance out of our medical budget for $28,000 per day for 2 weeks? Any bikers or local bikers or users of the air ambulance, surely their insurance should pay. Personal voluntary donations, yes, but not out of the Manx Treasury budget when our health service is dire, says 090. Thanks also to 009. Notices saying no bike parking here all round the Sefton and the Villa. So where can they park, says Liz D. It's a bit like saying bikes aren't welcome. Are they saying that around the Sefton and the Villa? Nobody's taking any notice if they are. Wilding is good for wildlife, but it's getting used as an excuse for a lack of any work. You can still keep areas looking tidy and wild them as well, says 488. Let's also, could you please ask the government when they're going to opt us out from the World Health Organization? The Pandemic Treaty Bill amendments are set to take our human rights and democracy will die. They need to get on this instead of removing the bishop or building walls around the beaches, says Crystal. Well, Crystal, I think it was a while back last year when Jane Paul Wilson was on, she was asked that, and it hasn't really happened in the UK yet either. So I think everybody's watching and waiting. And Desmond said, Andy, it's the people coming from big UK cities. They hate our narrow high-speed roads. Remember, when it was an all-island speed limit of 40 miles per hour, some people still think it is, says Des. We're not a free-for-all racetrack for all and sundry, says Sue. Bikers have the privilege of using our public roads to ride around on the famous course, but they haven't got the skill required for high speed. There must be facilities for people who want to ride fast to do it somewhere safer, where ordinary residents driving on their local roads aren't at risk. Our emergency services are already stretched by people who imagine they have the skills when clearly they haven't. You just have to look some of the crashes. Thanks also to I wonder if the Isle of Man will benefit from Labour winning the UK election and setting up the great British energy company, says G. All sorts of rumours. It looks fairly odds-on, doesn't it, as though there is going to be a Labour government across. I don't think that, back to assisted death now, John, I don't think assisted death should be carried out by the NHS here. Manx Care now, of course, was formed to care. The NHS was formed to care for patients. This is not a culture that's going to be good for a hospital. Their remit should be for caring. Assisted death, I think, should be a private offering. You don't need to be rich to make sure that you have a few £1,000s if you want to have the service at some stage. All people could ensure this if it's something that they feel is right for them. The oft-quoted argument and discussion about whether, if assisted dying is to appear on the Isle of Man, A, who's going to do it, and B, who's going to pay for it if it does happen. And texter 945 has said, I really object to using the phrase assisted suicide when talking about assisted dying. It's inflammatory words and people are using it on purpose. It's assisted dying that we're talking about. That was 945. It's interesting, isn't it? And I mean, words mean different things to different people. The legislation we're talking about, the proposed legislation, is assisted dying. It's the assisted dying legislation, a private member's bill, which has been proposed by the Ramsey MHK and, of course, GP, Dr. Alex Allinson. Some people don't like it, and so will use language to highlight their feelings. And that's their feelings, 945, thanks to it's their opinion. So they'll probably say what is one person's assisted dying legislation is another person's assisted suicide. There have been even more inflammatory words used. So one man's meat and all that. It would be appalling to call any new structure on the Summerland spot the Wave, because at that spot there was a child killed by a wave on a very stormy day. Very careful thought should go into any name, says Mary. We had so many texts and emails after, it was last Thursday, we got into talking about what should be done about Summerland and what should be done with the site. If you see it now, it's a car park. The residents of the fun fair, the operators of the fun fair, have got their mobile homes there and their big tractors for the articulated trailers. It is big, and quite what to do with it and quite where we are with it, you wonder. But your thoughts are welcome. That just a couple of observations raised today. Surely the right to die, surely everybody should have the right to decide their own fate without the stigma of suicide or suffering in pain when medically their condition can't be cured, says Ian. But also regarding the Summerland site, would you want to live somewhere where a tragedy like that really happened? I would certainly feel very wrong living in a place like that. Thanks also for Ray, who dropped a note in regarding Summerland and said, everybody seems to forget there was a second Summerland. After the first one burnt, there was a second Summerland. And probably the one that most people nowadays would remember. The one that was knocked down in the early 2000s. So we seem to, says Ray, we seem to very easily slip into the second Summerland without a worry about the first Summerland, and now that one's gone, the focus seems to be on the first Summerland. Not judging, just observing. Thank you, Ray, we appreciate it. And Eric's on now. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Andy. Just like to talk about the commentary. It should be back where they've got the Glen Helm hairpin, but just to say how fantastic Manx radio commentary is. And with Lee Johnson and Jenny and Beth, they just put a different perspective on it, and it's been really good as far as I'm concerned.
It's one of those things that commentary is kind of organic, Eric. It tends to grow in different directions. I mean, I'll just say that, when, and obviously, Morris is no longer with us, the late Morris Maudsley, who was at Glen Helen for so many years, but they decide, the government, who are the people who own the thing, they've decided what they want, how the commentary and how they want it to be. I think it sounds good at the moment, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go back. It's not going to go back as long as you've got the TD Plus on, which I have on, but I turn the sound off and just listen to Manx radio. It's very good. But now the bad bit. We were promised when they altered the car park to the grandstand, and we were promised there'd be more disabled parking. Well, where is it? I couldn't find it.
Is this in the Nobles Park bit?
Yeah, I went up there, been up there 3 times. The first time I got into the car park, and the extra disabled car park they were talking about, it's got room for 12 people.
Is that all?
12 cars, and one space allocated to somebody who attends the TD in an official capacity, but he has a chauffeur. Why is there a reserved spot there and only 12 for disabled? It's just ridiculous. You can't get anywhere near it. And they promised when they moved the car park that they would change that. And they haven't. It's worse than ever now.
So did you get a space, Eric?
The first time I did, the other 2 times I had to park a long way away, and luckily I had me scooter in the back of my car, so I could go up on that. But anybody without one wouldn't be able to get to the grandstand. It's as simple as that. And one other thing while I'm on your news now, you've got this item about Kerry Sharp and Disabled Workshop.
Yeah.
Is she having a joke? Is that a joke, is it? That, she's going to help. They want to have a workshop to help people get into politics, disabled people into politics. I think she'd do better if she had a workshop for disabled people to get around this island, because you can't. You've got drop curbs that are not dropped. They're too high, they're broken, and all the other things are wrong for disabled people. And all she's concerned about is that people go to a workshop to see about getting into politics. I've never heard such rubbish in my life.
All right. Appreciate it, Eric. Thanks for being with us.
Okay, thanks.
Good to hear from you. Tony's with us. Tony B. Hi, Tony.
How you doing, Andy?
Good, thanks, yeah.
I'm not criticising anybody today or moaning, but I noticed that the TT, during the TT, they close the mountain, make it one way, which I think is a great thing. I'm not against that. But then they're letting cars go over with the bikes. And all I ever hear is ambulance going up every half an hour or so. They open it, and then they close it again. Open it and close it. I'd like to know from the police, and I think the police should actually look at this and think about it, and not listen to what the government wants, but listen to what is a sensible thing to do. And that is, are all those accidents involving cars? Because if they are, cars and bikes don't mix very well on any roads, because most car drivers don't know about awareness of a bike. They don't, and especially in the Isle of Man. A lot of the drivers over here think you should drive at 40 mile an hour, and everybody else should as well, because they're not comfortable driving faster, which is fine. But then why are they driving over the mountain? And I think the issue here is that there are people using the mountain in cars simply to go fast. And that's exactly what the bikes want to do as well. And bikes and cars don't really mix. So if the constabulary would just have a look and see what's the statistics say about accidents over the mountain, only over the mountain, that involve cars and bikes. If that's the case, that there is more accidents because of cars and bikes being involved, I think we should say, OK, we'll stop the cars during the hours of, 10 o'clock in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon, and just give it to the bikes. Now, I don't know whether that's a good idea or not, but I'm sure there'll be somebody who come on and say no, but I think it should be looked at, because I think there are a lot of accidents that are caused by the interaction of poor drivers or people driving very fast in a car without the best control, and bikes that are also trying to drive very fast over the mountain.
I mean, most people tend to avoid the mountain this time of the year, don't they?
Well, I've noted that the last couple of accidents that I've heard about, and I've only heard hearsay because we don't get told, they involve cars. And I would suspect that it's youngsters driving very, very fast.
Right.
I've been over the mountain and watched cars come down at 80 mile an hour in a little hatchback. Yeah. Dangerous. Very dangerous, because...
So you think it's not people... It's not people going about everyday business, it's just people who are going up there as speed jockeys.
Yeah, but they're speed jockeys in cars that are not suitable for being speed jockeys. I believe there was an accident up there the other day with a supercar.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
So a supercar and a bike, that won't match. They shouldn't be on the same piece of road, especially if the bloke's in a supercar is trying to go fast, because he's got the whole road for the first time in his life. I think they should allocate a couple of hours a day and say, right, if you want to drive over there in a car, on you go. This is the times you can do that. Otherwise, you've got to limit it, because we're letting the bikes out. And that's what a lot of riders come here for.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a massive adrenaline rush, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever ridden a bike and gone fast on it, it really is quite something. But if you've never driven a bike, then you just think it's dangerous. And it can be, but so can be driving a car if you're going fast. especially when you don't know what you're doing. And I've got a supercar and I don't know how to drive it properly.
All right.
Because I haven't taken any supercar driving lessons.
All right, good to hear from you.
It's good. Yeah, it's good to talk to you. But it's just a thought that we complain about things going wrong, but I really feel for bikers when we have an accident, and then the whole day is lost in racing because some idiots have had an accident up there.
Okay. Well, no, good thought. Thanks for being with us, Tony.
Just a thought. Take care.
Thanks a lot. So keep the cars off the mountain during TT. Or any thoughts? Text, email, call and WhatsApp. Talking of from the Sublime to the... Anyway, we're talking the Sublime to bagpipes. Because every Monday and Friday we delve back into the Manx Radio archive, it being our 60th anniversary year from 1964 to 2024. We're talking bagpipes with probably the best known Island bagpiper, Jack Crellin. Talks to David Callister after Mannin Line today. The bagpipes, crikey. And prices at the grandstand, says James. I required 4 pints of lager, 1 white wine, double vodka and lemonade. I was given 4 half cans of Heineken. I said to the lady I wanted 4 pints, not half pints. She said I'd need 8 cans as it wasn't on draft. Then I questioned the size of the double vodka because it looked like a single, only to be told it was a double, as 25 25cc is a double. Is that really? £54.20. It was our only purchase and our last as we left after finishing our drinks. I and my visitors felt ripped off. It was highly embarrassing and another reason that we're going to kill the TT off by overcharging people. My visitors agreed that it's going higher than London prices and can also see the corporate side of TT eventually taking over. 4 pints of lager, 1 white wine, 1 double vodka and lemonade, £54.20. Any advance on that? Thank you, Manxwell. It's true about Waterworld. It's been drained off and is causing big problems for the tired birds who've flown there to rest, feed, breed and nest in safety. It affects all the wildlife and the neighbourlands, says Will. Terry Kay said, Andy, look, I've already got a form of assisted dying. It's called a do not resuscitate notice. So surely that's one form of assisted dying. Now the debate continues to go on and on. It's a rest day on TT today, but of course all the action on AM 1360. That's it. We're back with the bagpipes, and thanks to Howie Kane on the phones today. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
WINT. 60 years serving you as the nation station. This is Manx Radio.
Like Marmite, it's said you like them or loathe them. I speak of the bagpipes. On the island, we have produced some fine pipers. Jack Crellin was one from years past. David Callister bagged him for a chat.
Now, you were telling me earlier on about a competition that you won piping in Scotland.
No, sorry, that was locally.
That was over here?
There was, in the days before the war, before this last war, we used to have in the Isle of Man, we always thought a highly successful Highland Games every year. And there have been occasions when there's been as many as 5 bands or 200 pipers, say, in which we used to joyfully take part.
These were pipers who had come to the island?
Come to the island to take part in the competition, as they do in any other games. Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, yes, and Singer Pipe Band and things like that. And I'm not really too sure who started this off, but there was a cup given for insular pipers to compete for. Well, I managed to win it one year, about 1932, I think it was, and it was presented at the Palace It was really out of all proportion in magnitude to the competition, because there were the Argyll and Sutherland, say, going up and getting a
vase?
Yes, that type of thing.
Yes.
But it was nothing like the prodigious cup that I'd won for my little effort.
Very handsome, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And you've still got it on the shelf at home, have you?
Yeah, well, I haven't got the cup, and I have got a gold medal.
Oh, yes, good. Now, that's, of course, a long time ago. Are you still playing as often these days as you were a few years ago?
Well, no. I play now mainly for the Caledonian Society, and occasionally for functions that come up that somebody asks me to play for.
Of course, Burns Night is a big night for you, isn't it?
It's the big thing, yes. It was rather interesting, by the way, while I was in New Zealand. My son told me when going there, he said, whatever you do, Dad, do pack a kilt with you, bring a kilt with you. I said, I know you couldn't bring the pipes, it would be too awkward, but we stayed, his wife's people come from Dunedin, and during the evening he said to me, nip up and put your kilt on, Dad, all the bits, you see. So I appeared in the kilt, and the chap from next door dashed off and came back 20 minutes later with a set of pipes, and we'd hijinks on back lawn. He'd borrowed them from a local pipe band.
Part of island life for 60 years. This is your Manx Radio.